Volleys it clear into centre midfield. Chested down by Dyer. Slipped back by the former Burnley fullback Kieran Trippier into the centre circle, and Jan Vertonghen, the Belgian international, to the Welshman who saw off Belgium with his compatriots to get to the semi-finals of the European Championships 2 years ago. And Spurs have a throw on the left-hand side.
Interesting. 2 attacks for either side so far, Phil. Both gone long ball. Both played over, stretched their opponents, get the defensive turn in, trying to gain some territory and get in the final third and build some attacks from there.
Spurs have it again. Trippier slides it from right to left where he finds Son, who started but got taken off against Newport midweek. South Korean with the ball at his feet, slips it into Moussa Dembele, hands off the attention of Aubameyang, and Spurs will try and build a head of steam. Inside the Arsenal half, everyone bar Hugo Lloris away to the left-hand side of the pitch as we look at it. Davinson Sanchez, light blue boots, exchanges a pass or two with the English international Eric Dyer. Then it's chipped forward by Trippier, looking for the run of Dele Alli down the right-hand side of the Arsenal penalty area. The Gunners have cleared it, but it stays on the park, and Sanchez has it again. And here is Jan Vertonghen on the centre spot.
They did this very well, Phil, especially second half Spurs up at Anfield, didn't they? The way they probed and retained possession.
Here's Son breaking into the Arsenal penalty area, bundles through a couple of challenges, a cross on the cover. The ball is smashed away with the intervention of Mustafi, and it sails out of play for a throw-in on this near touchline to Spurs, which Ben Davies takes again. Son tries to steal inside that penalty area. It's been whacked clear by Mustafi, the bearded defender, towards the halfway line, but Arsenal can't break out of their own half at the moment.
No, not yet. They're banking up, but they do know that they've got the pocket rocket up front. Aubameyang on an interception. There's space to slide the ball through and get out on the counter-attack, and I think they'll be patient and they'll wait for that moment and really try and hurt Spurs if that opportunity presents itself.
Tottenham have it down the right-hand side. The bench for Spurs, by the way, today: Michel Vorm, Danny Rose, Eric Lamela, Victor Wanyama, Moussa Sissoko, Serge Aurier and Lucas Moura. Interesting.
I'm surely, am I allowed to be biased considering I'm not a former Arsenal player?
Only marginally, not consistently. Here's Son. Left-hand side for Spurs, not much support, but Kane's arriving in the box now. Son tries to step over and keep the ball away from Mustafi, which he's done at the moment. He still has it, the Korean player. Finds Dele Alli. Alli with a lovely ball out to Trippier. A bit of space for Trippier, who can deliver a good cross. And Mkhitaryan did really well.
I'm not sure what he was waiting for. Kieran Trippier, it was such an outstanding ball from Dele Alli with pace, real zip on the ball on this pitch, which has a lovely little sort of bit of moisture on top and allows the passes to really fly across the surface. But Trippier had so much time, took an extra second, and in the end just couldn't get that cross off, but had so much space. Should have done better.
Here's Son Heung-min on the left-hand side. Again, trying to attack. Bellerin gets past him. Bellerin blocks it with his right foot, and he goes away for a corner. No Arsenal fans yet. I'm watching the game from Ghana, says @1Muller_GH. He's a Chelsea fan, but it's going to be a great attacking match from both sides. It is at the moment. And it's Tottenham's first corner of the game. Arsenal couldn't make anything of theirs. Can they test Petr Cech Spurs? 6 minutes gone at Wembley Stadium, and it's taken short and cut back to Christian Eriksen, who scored after 11 seconds, of course, against Manchester United recently. The second fastest Premier League goal of all time. Here's Dele Alli. Low ball into the box, poor one. Tottenham's delivery from out wide hasn't been great,
Why did Ben Davies put that cross back to Christian Eriksen, and he's 20 yards outside the box, he's getting closed down, can't put in the cross, and you're thinking, I don't know what they were trying to do there. Clearly there was something they worked on the training ground which didn't come off, but a really poor decision to take a short corner when it's the first couple of minutes of a North London derby. Put the cross, put the corner into the box, and you have every chance of going on and doing something.
Here's Dele Alli. Spurs the better side in the opening of this game, but the player's been held up because there's an injury to Henrik Mkhitaryan, which has been cleared up. Cech punts the ball forward long up towards Aubameyang, headed away by Davinson Sanchez. Drops for Henrik Mkhitaryan, who scored in the Europa League final for Manchester United at the end of last season. Here's Granit Xhaka. They've got the winner against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup semi-final. Monreal floats it in, useful one towards Wilshere. Vertonghen leaves it for Trippier, who hacks it upfield. Arsenal, of course, will play Manchester City later this month here at Wembley Stadium. And they've got a fantastic record on this ground, Arsenal. Their last 9 games at Wembley, they've won them all, if you include penalty shootouts. Here's Dele Alli coming forward for Spurs, into the box towards Harry Kane, who got a very slight touch on it, prodded it goalwards, and Petr Cech just pushed it around his post, and Spurs have another corner.
Well, this is just a perfect example of the link-up play between Harry Kane and Dele Alli, because it was that ball into Harry Kane, who just dinked it round the corner, allowed Dele Alli, suddenly he's running in on the Petr Cech goal. And
again, the corner's been taken short. Son Heung-min, here's the cross in. It's a poor one by Ali, straight into the hands of Petr Cech. It was Mustafi, incidentally, not Kane, who got the toe poke forward. Suddenly here's Aubameyang coming forward, and Henrik Mkhitaryan for Arsenal on the counter-attack tries to return the compliment by spinning it across towards Aubameyang. It's going to be kept in on the far side by Mesut Ozil, who finds Jack Wilshere shaven-headed, shoots left-footed. Wilshere, it cannons back towards El Neni, who's going away from goal at the moment. Mesut Ozil rolls it into Granit Xhaka. It's been a really good watch the opening 9 minutes, and the promise of a hugely entertaining match. Here's Monreal, who's been an unusual provider of goals this season for Arsenal. He's got 4. Here's Mkhitaryan, who assisted 3 goals against Everton at the Emirates last weekend. Monreal again, left-hand side, rolls it back to Mkhitaryan, who clips it away towards El Neni. Bit of space for the midfield man, who controls neatly. There's an overlap from Bellerin. El Neni goes low with the cross, and Vertonghen scoops it away.
Well, interestingly, before the game, John, we're talking about how the attacking talent on show today really is top class, as good as you could see at any game across Europe. But in the first 10 minutes, all of the attacking play has been pretty poor, almost a bit of a letdown, because it's a lot of potential, a lot of almost like huffing and puffing without any kind of substance, and you just need someone with a bit more composure. I understand it's a North London derby, it is going to be frantic, but someone out on that pitch needs to have a bit of composure in front of goal.
Here's Mesut Ozil in towards Aubameyang, solid header away by Vertonghen, but El Neni picks it up in centre midfield for Arsenal. This is Granit Xhaka, 25 yards from the Arsenal goal, not controlled by Bellerin, tidied up by Son. Ali gets in a bit of a tangle though, and eventually Dyer sweeps it away upfield towards Kane. Kane has got the better of his man, but he's been penalised, and the Tottenham fans are not happy about that, because they felt that Kane, come on you Gunners, a lot of bullets in your guns today, keep North London red. And Alexander Adimeji is an Arsenal fan, also from Nigeria. I think Arsenal will have the edge in this one. It's certainly Tottenham had the better of the opening 5 minutes, but Arsenal are beginning to push and probe now. Here's Wilshere, just flips it out wide to Hector Bellerin, who finds Wilshere again. That's a lovely ball. Here's Aubameyang, he's offside.
Wow, that was
a great ball by Wilshere.
I was just about to say that, John. Wilshere, whenever he almost allowed the ball to run across his body, suddenly Aubameyang just gave him a little point. He's actually, oh my goodness, it's so tight. You know, if I'm looking at it and on our monitor, the play had actually frozen, so it looked like he was just on the verge. I think Kieran Trippier was playing him on, but he was just the other side of Jan Vertonghen. But Trippier could have been playing him on, but it is so tight to call and understand. And if the
marginal.
Yeah, if the assistant referee doesn't know exactly.
Eriksen in and headed away from Kane, and crucially so by Koscielny. It's a lovely curling ball in with pace by the Dane. Koscielny did his job well.
And you actually said before the game, you know, what's Aubameyang going to bring to this team? Well, that's it.
Yes.
It's just playing on that last defender's shoulder, and it was a split second and he was gone, and that's a possibility he always has.
Terrific atmosphere, as you'd expect inside Wembley Stadium. 12 and a half minutes gone in the North London derby. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0, with Eric Dyer in centre midfield for Spurs, swapping passes with Christian Eriksen. Here's Moussa Dembele trying to find Son Heung-min, who's looking to get beyond. Ozil does that, but can't get his cross beyond Bellerin, who clears it away towards the far side. It's kept in play by Moussa Dembele, who finds Ben Davis. And now Dyer in centre midfield for Tottenham Hotspur, finding Eriksen. Dyer again to Vertonghen. It's patient, this, from Spurs, who are waiting perhaps to pick their moment for a bit of cut and thrust. Here's Eriksson, who can generally provide that, finding Son Heung-min over on the left-hand side, looking to take on Bellerin. It's Son trying to get to the byline, still has it, and it's blocked by Bellerin. It's going to be a corner kick.
But it's brilliant. It's brilliant, John, because Spurs are just closing Arsenal almost into their final third. Virtually every player on the edge of the 18-yard box for Arsenal, which is allowing the likes of Son Heung-min on the right-hand side or left-hand side, and been able to just keep running at Hector Bellerin. And because he keeps doing that, Spurs consistently getting corners, great opportunities.
Eriksson will take this corner, swirling it in with his right foot. Oh, and a header by Dyer, who got up there, and it flashed off his forehead, but a good way wide in the end.
It was, and I think it was Eric Dyer had about 4 Arsenal players around him, and he still manages to get that head on the ball. And it's Jan Vertonghen who just escapes Henrik Mkhitaryan and could have possibly got his head on it. But this is what I'm saying. If Son continues to run at Hector Bellerin, whether he gets across it or gets the corners, it really doesn't matter, because there's just more and more sustained pressure on Arsenal's defence.
No goals here yet. The last team to prevent Tottenham Hotspur from scoring in a Premier League match were Arsenal at the Emirates back in November, winning by 2-0. Shkodran Mustafi and the now departed Alexis Sanchez on target in that win. It was Arsenal's first against Tottenham in 7 games. Here's Mkhitaryan back to Monreal, who with his left foot sweeps it up into Tottenham territory. Dyer heads it back. El Neni finds Wilshere to Xhaka. Wilshere looks as if he's on his game today, doesn't he? I've got a feeling Wilshere, I mean, he's had a strange career, a lot of injuries, a loan spell at Bournemouth last season. I've got a sneaking suspicion, you know, that if Wilshere carries on the way, he might sneak into the England squad for the World Cup. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it's weird, because you think, well, is he good enough to be an Arsenal player? If he's not, why is he gone out on loan? Or if he is, why is he gone out on loan? If he's not, and he should be in this team, then why is he not playing more and also just more consistent performances? But there is definitely something that I really, really like about Jack Wilshere. Yeah. His quality on the ball. You could possibly, maybe have a few question marks over his temperament.
Yes.
But like we just saw with that first-time ball through to Aubameyang, that's the kind of quality he can produce.
I agree. I think you're absolutely right. I think he's got the talent, but the temperament has been questionable.
But I would even throw the athleticism in there as well. He doesn't look like an athlete. Just the way he gets around the pitch, he's very laboured, but still good enough to play in the Premier League. But it's just not. He's not an outstanding athlete in the Premier League.
Here's Son Heung-min, just shepherded the ball away from Bellerin, and he's found Dele Alli. Referee's played a good advantage here. Dele Alli left-hand side for Spurs. Only Kane in the box. Eriksson arriving now. This is Son. Quick feet by the career. This is a lovely run by Son Heung-min, and it's blocked by Bellerin. And back it comes to Davis. Davis's cross headed up, but not really, away by Xhaka. Wilshere needs to complete the clearance and hooks it with his left foot up towards halfway. The Tottenham fans start to make themselves heard. They believe they've got some momentum here. Davis again, left-hand side, the former Swansea fullback, scored for Swansea in a game against Arsenal once upon a time as well, and he doesn't get too many. Here's Dembele finding Dyer in the centre of the field. Dyer chips it away. It's a decent looking ball to Trippier, but it's just bounced in front of the Tottenham right fullback and bounced away behind. But that was a decent little spell from Spurs.
And again, it just seems to be the opening 16-17 minutes here. Whenever Spurs have the ball, they are pushing Arsenal all the way back, virtually to the edge of their 18-yard box. I think Arsenal are happy to concede that kind of areas on the pitch and just say, right, okay, you're probably going to have more possession, but we're happy to just sit back and take up as much pressure as you can.
Sodlow shot. Tried his luck from distance. It was hit reasonably firmly with the right foot, but nowhere near enough pace on it to trouble Petr Cech, who of course is stuck on 199 clean sheets. It seems to have taken him an eternity stuck on that figure. He'll be very, very happy if he can make it a record 200 today. Here's Ozil for Arsenal, away towards Bellerin. It's a lovely ball. Bellerin controls it, plays a volley cross. Wilshere trying to hit it on the volley, couldn't get it right. Got a second attempt, found Bellerin. Flying header away by Vertonghen, finds Dele Alli. It's a shame Wilshere didn't connect there, because it was sitting up nicely for him, and he got his feet in a bit of a tangle as he tried to volley the ball goalwards, and nothing came of it.
No, but then once Dele Alli suddenly finds himself on the edge of the box, a lovely, probably 60, 70-yard pass, and all it is just a race between Mustafi and Harry Kane. Eventually, Mustafi gets there first and puts it out for a throw, but that's what you do have whenever Arsenal are going to counter-attack. It's almost like 1v1 at the back for Arsenal at times, and Harry Kane, you would fancy him in a race against Mustafi.
Yeah. Ball has just about been kept in by Son, but his header has gone straight to Ozil. Now Xhaka, now Wilshere, just trying to ease his way beyond Dele Alli. He's done that. He's gone tumbling down. No foul, says Anthony Taylor. So Son Heung-min will bring the ball forward down the left-hand side. He's played pretty much as a left winger, Son, today. Here's Dembele, and now Eriksen, centre midfield. Pushes it back to Davinson Sanchez. Tottenham again enjoying a feel of the ball and patient probing play, trying to roll it through. In the end it goes beyond Koscielny and harmlessly into Pedicek. Arsenal haven't won an away game since late December. We're looking again at the offside decision. It looks as if Aubameyang was just onside, but you'd have to say in real time that is a very, very difficult call for the assistant referee.
Virtually impossible.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can notice that one, and it's just probably just shows again with the officials, whether you think they do a good job or not, just how difficult it is.
They do a hard job, that's for sure. I do think I'm a great believer in respecting officials, and I do think too many people in football do not respect them.
I agree.
I mean, some of the comments from managers are appalling. They'll blame referees for anything rather than blame their own players' shortcomings. Anyway, here's Dele Alli, intercepted by Xhaka, but Son has won it back and found Moussa Dembele out to Ben Davies on the halfway line, far side. He elects to go all the way back to Lloris, who's been the quieter of the two keepers.
Well, it's actually
Xhaka's had a couple of saves, neither of them particularly tested.
I was going to say it's probably nothing that they haven't dealt with 1,000 times before, and it's like there's a lot of good build-up play, but even when I talk about when Son's running with the ball against Bellerin, he's still not really getting across it, even though he's winning corners, which is still still a good positive move for Spurs, but it's just not quite good enough to be able to get any kind of shots on goal or any real trouble in either keeper.
Route one from Arsenal, but Aubameyang can't get there. Vertonghen's done well in the air against Aubameyang so far today. Here's Dembele for Tottenham Hotspur, yet to score this season in 27 games. Here's Ozil's pinched it for Arsenal. Finds Jack Wilshere over on the corner of the 18-yard box. Wilshere pivots away and finds Xhaka. Xhaka to Nacho Monreal. Monreal to Mkhitaryan for Arsenal. The Armenian clips across it. It's not a good one. You can hear the ironic cheers from the Tottenham fans there as the ball goes way over Aubameyang and Ozil and ends up in the gloves of Lloris. 21 minutes played at Wembley Stadium. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0 in the North London derby. Harry Kane, who's had a fairly quiet game so far, slides in and Tottenham managed to keep possession. Vertonghen rolls it across to Davinson Sanchez, the 21-year-old Colombian who joined the club from Ajax. He was in the team that Mkhitaryan's Manchester United beat in the Europa League final last season. Here's Eriksen. He's overhit the pass. It was a good idea, but he's put too much on it, and Trippier was never going to get there.
And you mentioned Harry Kane being quiet, and I probably would have put a couple of other players into that bracket.
Slide rule ball for Aubameyang just caught him slightly offside.
Mkhitaryan,
other than that, we could have got 2 goals for both those.
So there's probably quite a few. Even Aubameyang, there's not really too many players in that attacking sense have been good, have really sort of stood out in the opening quarter of the game.
Wusu Eniola Samuel asks any reason why Aaron Ramsey is not included in the starting lineup.
For Arsenal, they look like they've got something going forward.
I wasn't aware of him struggling with injury in the run-up to the game, but he is not in the squad.
Spurs' back four can be got out.
He is out with
they're not strong without Alderweireld.
And you just think with his performance last week,
he's definitely somebody. He's a good young player, but
on the team sheet today,
he's not super quick.
Not available.
I've seen him get taken on the trash, although not everyone's as quick as Zaha.
To replace him, of course, El Neni as well, centre midfield.
Here's Xhaka, just knocked over by Moussa Dembele. Dua Eric and Bofo go Arsenal, listening live from Accra, Ghana on City FM. Hope you're enjoying it. Here's Mkhitaryan for Arsenal. He's swept it
is when the magic happens. When the play is made,
Granit Xhaka is a strange one, isn't he? Because he seems to be a real favourite for Arsene Wenger. Has him in the team every single week, and yet I'm just not the biggest fan of his. I see him playing in there, and I know you've got to have that hole in defensive midfielder, but I just don't. I'd rather, if we're talking about Jack Wilshere, I'd rather see Jack Wilshere in that hole in midfield position and allowing his passing ability to start dictating a little bit more for Arsenal, rather than having Granit Xhaka in there.
Our old mate Robin Michael Thompson, Brazil. It's a very lengthy tweet. I haven't got time to read it all. The gist of it is, has Wembley Stadium lost a little bit of its cup magic now that Spurs are using it week in, week out? Obviously Arsenal will be here against Manchester City in the League Cup. He's a Liverpool fan, and obviously said that in the old days Wembley was like a second home to Liverpool.
Yeah, that's the old days. Although the problem is that, okay, Spurs might play there all the time, but actually all of the other clubs don't get an opportunity, of course, unless you're playing in the Premier League. So I don't think it has lost its magic.
No, I don't think Newport County's players who were here in midweek
Can you imagine?
They'll be telling their grandchildren about the fact they played at Wembley.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's one of those things. Funnily enough, I flew back from Germany this week, flew right over the new White Hart Lane with the cranes. It really is rising up there. It's dominating the landscape in North London. It really is. When you look at it from a height, from a plane, goodness me, it's rising from the ashes of the old White Hart Lane. It's going to be a fantastic arena.
And have you seen with it almost like the virtual reality of what it is? The glass
like a luxury hotel, isn't it?
It's just the way stadia are going around the UK now. And I guess, of course, it a lot to do with the way Wembley was built, the way the Emirates were built. It's almost the expectations now of Premier League fans when they're going to football games. This is the quality in the standard they want to see.
Here's Dyer finding Trippier, right hand side, controls it beautifully, plays it in. Little flick by Ericsson, doesn't get enough on it. It just
Sanchez
loops up
and then
off his
Dyer.
head. And Petr under his
Goes over the halfway line now, puts his head down, and nobody comes.
Trippier,
and he gets the ball caught in his feet.
Chance for Ericsson,
and Xhaka very nearly taking it away from him.
Funny, John, you're almost reading my mind, because I was almost saying that as he's headed that, he hasn't actually put his neck muscles in it the way you would head a ball. He almost kept his neck perfectly still and his head still, and allowed the ball to hit his head. And you just think he's clearly not a natural header of the ball, is he?
He does have other qualities, though. There's no doubt about that.
Top class.
Looking forward to seeing him in the World Cup. Denmark back, of course, this summer. It's not too far away now. Spurs have lost the ball in midfield, but quickly won it back. Just for a moment, there was a bit of careless play in the middle of their own half. Moussa Dembele pushes it out wide to Ben Davies. 25 minutes played, still 0-0 here. Remember, only one goalless draw in the last 46 competitive encounters between these two sides. Xhaka for Arsenal, who've been second best overall, but Tottenham haven't really damaged them yet, have they? Here's Son looking to do that left-hand side, confronted by Bellerin and Wilshere. Leaves it for Ericsson. Davies has gone on an overlapping run. Ericsson's crossing, great one. Kane! Oh, it was a great chance. That's the best chance of the game so far. Lovely cross by Ericsson. And Arsenal switched off, and Harry Kane could only put his header over the bar. He was just onside. Perfectly timed run. Kane will think he should have done better.
Well, ironically, we've just talked about Christian Eriksen and his heading ability, and how that's not what his game's all about. It's this quality precision on the ball, the cross in. And Harry Kane almost didn't even need to put any power onto the ball. He just needed to let the ball glance off his head, probably similar to what Christian Eriksen did moments ago. And because Harry Kane put too much on it, sailed over the bar.
Scorer and misser of a penalty on Sunday at Anfield. Almost got his 7th goal in 7 games against Arsenal. Here's Son Heung-min. Tottenham definitely the better side. Son tries to find Ericsson. Arsenal scrape it away from him, and then chancy ball by El Neni, who put Bellerin under real pressure there on the edge of his box, but Bellerin managed to make something of it. That wasn't very clever defending by Mohamed El Neni.
Well, I really would like to know what he was thinking there. He's the last defender. He's virtually standing on the penalty spot, and he's playing the ball to Bellerin, who's almost got his back to Son, closing down, or I think it was Dele Alli was closing him down. And just clear the lines, just clear the ball as far up the pitch as you can. There's no need to try and play your way out of possession there.
Just watching a replay of Harry Kane's header. He was, well, first thing to say is it was a presentable chance, and secondly, Arsenal can't afford to do that too often, can they? Give Harry Kane the freedom of the penalty area. Here's Ozil. It was a well-intentioned ball towards Mkhitaryan, but he's put too much on it. Lloris, wearing all yellow, comes scampering out of his penalty area. Lloris has only ever kept one clean sheet in 12 games against Arsenal. Here's Dembele, centre midfield probing, finding Eriksen, who's becoming increasingly influential as time goes on. Dyer just flicks it square to Vertonghen. Here's Son, clever ball into Dele Alli. That's going to be a corner to Spurs, with Mustafi just toe poking it beyond Dele Alli and behind for a corner kick. Dele Alli scored against Arsenal in a 2-0 win last season, the last derby at the old White Hart Lane. Spurs have a corner with 28.5 minutes play for Tongan, Dyer, Kane, all obvious targets with their height.
Well,
Tottenham's fourth corner of the game.
I'm seeing Pierre Aubameyang on Eric Dyer, and that is a bit of a mixed match.
Back in by Trippier. Dembele shoots! And Dyer was there but couldn't get anything on it. Dembele's shot was off target, and it landed rather unexpectedly at the feet of Eric Dyer, who didn't really have time to react, and he just scuffed it. But that was another scare for Arsenal. Had Dyer got his instep around the ball, it might have been 1-0.
Well, I just mentioned the fact that Aubameyang is coming back, and his defensive role whenever Arsenal are defending corners is to pick up Eric Dyer, and I don't know what Arsene Wenger's thinking there, because Eric Dyer is one of the most dangerous players in the air for Spurs, and Aubameyang clearly not a very good defender in the air. So whenever you have that, and of course whenever Moussa Dembele has that shot, it's Eric Dyer who gets his foot on it, and whereas Aubameyang about 10 yards away from him. So I'm not sure what Arsene Wenger's thinking.
They always say that a team defends from the front, and you need your strikers to be savvy defensive-wise. Is Aubameyang perhaps not quite the ticket in that department? Actually, Aubameyang has had Arsenal's best chance, albeit ruled off by a slightly controversial offside flag. Aubameyang's last derby, I think, in Germany was Dortmund-Schalke, and he scored and got sent off in a game which Dortmund led 4-0 and ended up drawing 4-4. So his derby experience recently has been pretty astonishing. This game hasn't been quite as dramatic as that. It's probably just fallen perhaps below the entertainment standards we were expecting with half an hour gone, but here's Aubameyang picking it up for Arsenal. Really good tackle by Son, flicked by Ozil, intercepted by Vertonghen. Davies halfway, knocks it forward towards Harry Kane, who controls beautifully and finds Ali. Eriksen's arriving in the box, but Ali's ball is poor. Final ball not great from Tottenham. That's the problem at the moment.
It's not just Spurs, it's Arsenal as well, but it probably looks worse because Spurs are having more attacking play, they're having more possession in the Arsenal defensive half, and that time Christian Eriksen makes a real long bursting run trying to get into the box, and Dele Alli is just simply not on his game today. He's causing a few problems, but it's not what we expect from Dele Alli, one of the most gifted young players in the Premier League, and he's just not quite hitting those heights today.
Peter Jose Barnes is listening on City FM in Ghana. Spurs have Juventus in mind. I think Arsenal are going to get a last minute win. I don't believe Tottenham Hotspur are thinking about Juve. I'm sorry. In a North London derby, well, they've been. The manager will soon sort them out if they are. To throw into Arsenal, it's getting heavier. The rain now. It started as a light flurry or shower, but it's beginning to come down quite consistently now, and the pitch is getting a little bit more slippery.
And you'd almost say in a selfish way that's good for us, to be able to see probably a few more mistakes, maybe possibly it could lead to a goal.
Hakuna Matata's listening in Ghana and thinks the game shouldn't end goalless at half time, but it is goalless at the moment, and we've got 13 minutes to go till the interval as Mustafi robs Harry Kane. Mustafi, one of the scorers at the Emirates back in November when Arsenal won by 2-0. And they weren't really favourites in that game, were they, Arsenal, at the time? Everyone expected Tottenham to win that one, but obviously sometimes form goes out of the window in games like this.
Generally. Just sometimes generally that happens.
Here's Dyer, centre midfield for Tottenham Hotspur, who've done most of the attacking but not really produced, other than Kane's header over, a really clear-cut opportunity. Dyer again wearing 15, just inside the Arsenal half. Poor ball, El Neni with the header clear. Finds Granit Xhaka wearing gloves down to Wilshere. Wilshere with a well-intentioned first-time ball, well defended by Tottenham though. Dele Alli on the halfway line plays it square to Moussa Dembele. Davis wants it played out left. Dembele for the time being has gone the other way. Finds Eriksen to Dyer. And now Dembele just surging forward through the centre, flicking the ball past Aubameyang and trying to find Dele Alli. Good tackle by El Neni and a good dummy by Xhaka, and suddenly Arsenal are on their way with Mesut Ozil. Bellerin is screaming down the right wing with his tremendous pace. First time cross by Bellerin, trying to find Xhaka. Cleared for Spurs, but Bellerin will pick it up again.
I think you need to say a terrible first time cross there from Bellerin. But it is because they've done so well to break away, get down the right hand side. Ozil plays a lovely ball so he can't put that first time ball in, and it's so poor, so bad behind every single Arsenal player in the box.
Here's Wilshere. Looks to play in Mkhitaryan.
Oh my goodness.
It's a strange ball. He's hit it hard first time. Very odd indeed. What was he doing? He could have had a shot there. Uphanger's face is like thunder. He's come out to the edge of his technical area wearing a huge anorak against the rain. What on earth was Mkhitaryan trying to do?
What he's trying to do is, the ball's on his left foot. He's on the left hand side of the box. He sees Aubameyang ahead of all the Spurs defenders. He's just trying to guide it across the 6-yard box, play it into the path of Aubameyang. If he got there, probably would have been a tap-in and then to give Arsenal the lead, but because it was so mishit, because it was such poor technique, it's gone out for a throw-in.
Well, it's still goalless. We're 10 minutes away from half-time between these two great rivals, separated by a street that goes across North London. You may have seen it, the Seven Sisters Road, which pretty much connects the Emirates with White Hart Lane at least, which of course is Tottenham Hotspur's spiritual and future home. The other side, we're in northwest London here in Wembley, which is not really anywhere near Arsenal or Spurs' traditional venues. More likely to support maybe Chelsea. I don't know if you come from these parts or even Watford.
I was thinking.
Yeah, here's Monreal towards Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan tries to control. Good defending by Davinson Sanchez, who got in and pinched it away from Armenia's record international goal scorer very quickly there. Sanchez again tidily back into Lloris, who hasn't had a great deal to do. Trippier heads it forward now. Eriksen in a bit of space, and you can feel the expectation from the Spurs fans, but Jack Wilshere has ended that with a timely intervention. Here's Monreal, poor ball. Sanchez intercepts. Trippier on halfway for Spurs, near right hand side of Wembley Stadium. We're looking at the game from the other side, from the tunnel, which is where the posh seats are. Here's Ben Davies for Spurs into the space in front of Kieran Trippier. Trippier looks to deliver. Not a good cross. Koscielny just whacks it away with his side foot, and the danger is cleared for the time being.
It's almost been a feature of the first half, hasn't it? Really, really poor crosses.
Definitely.
And what I'm even more, surprised at is the fact that Kieran Trippier is normally outstanding when he gets an opportunity to cross the ball in. He has normally put so much swerve, pace, dip on his crosses, but every time he's been down that right hand side, it's been disappointing to say the least.
Here's Dembele, centre midfield. Eriksen pushes it back to Dyer. And now Trippier, who drifts infield from his station out on the right hand side. Eriksen is in centre midfield. Again, the ball is poor and comes to nothing. Liam Dempsey says he's hoping Arsenal can follow the Eagles' lead and beat the odds to capture a trophy this year. I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, I presume, who won an extraordinary Super Bowl final, one of the greatest ever.
Incredible,
last week. I must confess I didn't watch it.
Well, I'm just back from Philadelphia, and I was there whenever they won the game to get into the Super Bowl. So yeah, incredible time, incredible atmosphere around the city.
Free kick to Tottenham Hotspur for a foul by Mustafi on it's a handball by Mustafi, who went through Son Heung-min and then patted the ball away with his left hand. So Spurs will have a free kick in a useful position here.
see Christian Eriksen as he's placing his ball down, and I don't know why so many of the Spurs players were over and berating the referee, because it was a free kick, right? Great, let's get on with it. Why are you arguing with the referee for so long?
Waste of time. Here's Eriksen, delivers, header up rather than away by Mustafi, who then heads again to get it away towards the far side. It drops for Ben Davies, who tries to find Son, and Aubameyang has just about prevented the ball from going for a corner. In fact, he's done better than that. He's knocked it out via a Tottenham shin for a throw-in. John Jurgen says Mkhitaryan is painfully doing his best to cast shadows over what was a beast of a performance last week. Dreadfully inconsistent. He says, would you agree? Is that a problem with him?
I'm not sure it is. I think it's more just the fact that Arsenal, as an attacking sense, just haven't really been able to show much, because Spurs have pretty much dominated most of the half, not in terms of danger, in the fact that they've been better, just more that they've had more possession.
Here is Mkhitaryan. That's a good burst and a good ball. Comes out to Ozil. Ozil flips it through. Monreal with a downward header, and Sanchez is there in front of Aubameyang to make sure it didn't reach the former Borussia Dortmund striker, but that was better from Arsenal. And having just questioned Mkhitaryan, he produced a really good burst and a good ball there.
Yeah, and I think it's probably Aubameyang who maybe just didn't react just as quickly as Sanchez did whenever he got in ahead of him. But if Aubameyang hadn't realised that Monreal was going to head that back across rather than trying to take a touch, he might have gotten possibly in front of the defender.
Aubameyang scored 40 goals last season, 21 for Dortmund this season before he joined Arsenal. He had his fair share of disciplinary disagreements with the Dortmund management. But, as we mentioned before, 4 goals against Tottenham in games between Spurs and Dortmund, 1 in the Champions League, 3 in Europa League games. Here's Ozil for Arsenal, and then he lets it run through to Bellerin. Bellerin might strike it! And it's really Arsenal's first genuine shot in anger, and it's not a very good one by Bellerin. He hit it from the far corner of the 18-yard box with his right foot, but it was always spinning a long way over the bar. That came with 5 minutes to go to half-time.
Yeah, it's weird, because a lot of the really good plays coming through Ozil at the minute, he's the one that's just always, as you expect from Ozil, he's picking the pass. He always seems to make the right decision when he's on the ball, but it seems to keep going out to Bellerin down that right-hand side. It just isn't good enough in an attacking sense, in my mind, to be playing in that Arsenal team, because you just want someone who has more quality, more ability to pick a pass, where Bellerin feels like he's just in there purely because of his pace.
Czech gets it back into play. We're approaching half-time without a goal, which is unusual, as we've said, in this fixture. Here's Davinson Sanchez finding Vertonghen, who's going nowhere at the moment, so he just pushes it back to Hugo Lloris, wearing all yellow today. Forward by Vertonghen, up towards Son, beaten in the air by Bellerin. Mustafi and Dele Alli, I should say, clash on the far side of the field. There was a coming together. They look fairly accidental. The two managers are getting soaked as they get to the very edge of their technical areas to try and get a better view of things. I think Dele Alli was fouled by Mustafi. Has the referee given?
I think the referee's given a free kick, yeah. I think it's because Dele Alli probably went in with a bit of a straight leg, even though both of the players were almost stretching for the ball, so it was pretty dangerous in any way. Just more the fact that Dele Alli looked like he had his legs straight, and as Mustafi tried to clear the ball.
Loads of tweets, keep them coming. Apologies if I can't read them out, to be honest. If I read them all, you wouldn't know anything about the game. I'm just reading tweets and not actually doing what I'm supposed to do. Here's Eric Dyer inside Tottenham territory with a ball forward to Son Heung-min. He tries to clip it down the line to Davies first time. Bellerin, who's blocked most of what's come down that left-hand side from Tottenham Hotspur, did so again. We've got 3 minutes just under to go to half-time. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Arsenal 0 in this 4th Wembley meeting between these two sides, the most famous of which was in 1991 when Paul Gascoigne scored one of the most unbelievable free kicks you'll ever see for Spurs in the Cup. So yeah, Gary Lineker got a couple as well, and I think Alan Smith scored for Arsenal.
He did. header at the far post.
Yeah, and they went on to win the cup, Tottenham, in another final which was memorable for Gascoigne, going mad and injuring himself in a ridiculous challenge on Gary Charles, but Spurs won the cup 2-1 against Nottingham Forest from a goal down. Here's Wilshere, fouled by Dembele. Wilshere goes down holding his head. Dembele's being harangued by Xhaka. The rain is still coming down hard at Wembley Stadium. I mean, it's been reasonably compelling, but not perhaps the thriller.
I think it's the quality. It's the quality, John. It's like energy's good. You know, both teams clearly going for it. They're trying their best to get themselves into good positions in attacking sense. But actually, it's just been once they've been there, they haven't really been able to. The ability to produce that either cross, slip, slide rule ball just hasn't really happened.
Here's Ozil, dummy by Aubameyang, doesn't find its way through to Mkhitaryan though. Trippier is able to get it away. Ericsson back to Lloris under pressure from Aubameyang, does well to get the ball out to the left-hand side. Ben Davies looking for some sort of option ahead of him, and Son provides it, trying to wriggle away from the attentions of Bellerin. Good play by Son Heung-min. Intercepted by Mustafi. It's rather ragged at the moment. We're in the final minute of the 45. I don't think it'll be a huge amount of stoppage time added on. Mercifully, we haven't seen either of the physio teams on the pitch, which is good. And I don't think Anthony Taylor in his first North London derby as a referee is going to add on too much time. Here's Dembele finding Kane. Kane just shrugging himself away from Monreal and finding Trippier. Back to Kane again, centre midfield. It's a useful looking ball. It's floated beautifully across towards Son. Here's Ericsson. First time cross by Ericsson, headed up by Koscielny. Trippier's underneath it, tries to find Kane. Arsenal head it clear and then thump it away. That was a better delivery from the left-hand side than we've seen generally today. And that is half-time. Virtually no time added on at all in the rain at Wembley Stadium. It's been compelling without being thrilling. As Paul said, there's been a little bit of a lack of quality as the two teams head for the sanctuary of the dressing rooms at the interval in the North London derby at Wembley Stadium. Half-time, it is Tottenham Hotspur 0, Arsenal 0. You're listening to Premier League.
Premier League football is a truly global game, and